So, recently we all must have seen or heard about our neighboring nation, Sri Lanka. Protesters are entering the palace, hanging out there, partying in the pool, watching movies, wrestling on the bed, and doing all sorts of bizarre things one can imagine. But what led to such a situation where a sitting president had to flee the country? A countryman had to invade a presidential palace to show their aggression. And above all, how Sri Lanka plunged into the worst economic crisis since its independence back in 1948. So, to find out, let's begin. Hey guys, welcome to Junior Talk. I am your host Siddhant, and thank you all for the love and support for the first episode. I really appreciate it. I received all your feedback, so thank you so much for all the appreciation. So, Sri Lanka right now is going through an economic emergency, which was declared by the former president Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa himself. And then after him, the current prime minister get elected as the next president, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, by the parliament for the first time in Sri Lankan history. The island nation of 22 million is going through one of its worst phases since the end of the civil war back in 2009. Where I see there are three main reasons which attributed to this crisis. So let's get one by one. Leading up to the first reason, back in 2019, Mr. Rajapaksa was election bound for the highest office of Sri Lanka. And like any other politician, he made some promises during his campaign. And one of them was to reduce the VAT or value added tax. After being elected as the 8th president of Sri Lanka, he did. He and his cabinet brought down the VAT from 15% to 8%. And not just that, they abolished 7 other tax regimes that were already in place. This affected Sri Lanka adversely. FDI, foreign aids, and many other things which was crucial for Sri Lanka's economy was reduced. Ultimately, this led to a credit downgrowth, according to an article in Outlook. Not just that, it led to a decrease in the number of taxpayers in Sri Lanka. From 1.5 million in the beginning of 2020, it came down to an astonishing 412,000 in beginning of 2021. A staggering 73% reduction in the number of taxpayers within a year. All this led to a revenue loss for the government, meaning the government is losing on revenue but the expenses are still there, which ultimately resulted in a twin deficit, that is both current account and fiscal deficit for Sri Lanka. This was described as a historic mistake by the finance minister of Sri Lanka, Mr. Ali Savri. The IMF said Sri Lanka's usable forest reserve has came down from $7 billion in 2019 to a mere $50 million in 2022. Coming to the second reason, that tourism is a major economic contributor in Sri Lanka. I mean, look at the numbers. It added $4.4 billion in 2018 alone. But after the 2019 Easter bombing, many things changed. And in 2020, it got even worse. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the entire tourism sector was shattered. The number was that in 2021, the revenue was just at $682 million from tourism, from 4.4 billion to $682 million. This was a major blow to the coffers of Sri Lanka. Lastly, to add to this injury, in 2021, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa took an unusual decision. Overnight, he banned all the synthetic fertilizer and pesticides imports to Sri Lanka. This was to promote organic farming and to save a yearly $400 million which Sri Lanka pays to our fertilizer imports. This decision was against the warning of a group of Sri Lankan scientists who had warned against the adverse effect of this ban. As a result of this, rice production dropped by 20% in Sri Lanka. From being a self sufficient country in rice production, it had to import rice worth of $450 million in 2021. I mean, this altogether defeated the purpose of saving 400 million in fertilizer import. Tea, which is a cash cow for Sri Lanka, the production dropped by 18% according to a Vox report. The result of all these reasons mixed together was that Sri Lanka is now suffering from the worst economic crisis it has ever seen. The country is defaulting on various loan and term payments to different countries and various international organizations like International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and including China. The future for Sri Lanka certainly looks bleak. I mean, whose fault was this? The government who let the corruption happen? The irrational and short sightedness by the leaders? But whatever might be the reason, there is one major loser among all this, and that is the people of Sri Lanka. They are struggling and suffering for their daily necessities like fuel, electricity, water supply, and many more things. They are getting it like rations. The government has shut down all governmental institutions like schools, offices in order to save on fuel and energies. Amid all this, the near term future for Sri Lanka certainly does not look good. So, yeah, the crisis is very grave for the nation, and the top leadership and the corruption across the vertical are now more than evident. But the question still remains about the future of 22 million Sri Lankan, and time will only answer this. That's it for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. So, do share and follow me on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. Until next time.